Don't speak what you don't understand. The truth is not in your command. Don't shout about what you think is fake. The decision isn't yours to make. Don't lie about the way things are. Tall tales will take you very far. Don't scoff when they say it's the end.
Hey everybody, it is Marianne and Jim. There's all your comments, okay? So we can take a look at that. So today is Friday, right? Mm-hmm. And it's September 5th. It's just 9 o'clock, and I'm here in Jim's office. Retirees rock. And we're just going to do our little live here. Jim's got a narrow window because he's very, very busy. So many people want to talk to him these days.
So more than when I was running for mayor. Go figure.
So we'll help take a couple of your questions and give him a chance to talk to you if he has anything you want to tell us. But I'll tell you as a start. We're doing our live this morning because I have an event I have to do tonight. And then tomorrow is the Labor Day parade. And so, we've always said that, love you, Jim, please run for city council.
Hi, Camille.
So tomorrow,
thanks, Ann.
We have the Labor Day parade. If we're not marching off until about 1:30, 2 o'clock. So you don't have to be there early like last year, unless, of course, you want to go to the St. Patrick's Day Mass, which the Mass at St. Patrick's, it's a labor Mass, and that starts at 8:30 in the morning. So if you do want to go to that Mass, then, get to St. Patrick's at 8:30. They'll do the procession of labor into the church. They'll have the full hour Mass, and then you'll break at about 9:30. If you want to go to that. I'll be busy trying to, making sure that the float is in the right spot and making sure that the Maritime Masters, Mates and Pilots, our union partner, again, in the parade, is at the location and doesn't need any help. If you're coming early, make sure you bring a snack with you or lunch with you. There will always be food carts in that area. Bring water with you. You can always throw your garbage away, and then we can always stuff whatever we need to in the back of the pickup that's pulling the float. We have a float this year that was like last year.
I can't drive the pickup?
I'm sure the guy might get upset. But the float that we designed last year that we're doing again this year looks like the Dorothy Day Staten Island Ferry. And this year, Dorothy Day's family from the Dorothy Day Guild will be joining us as well. So it'll be nice. It'll be a nice group of people. Bring a little like plastic poncho, because it looks like that there might be a little spritz in the air about 2 o'clock-ish. So just in case the weather is inclement, you'll have one of those little ponchos to throw over you or an umbrella. We do have a few chairs on the float for people that can't stand or can't walk, but there's not many. So there's probably about 10 or 15, and we're sharing those with the Maritime Masters, Mates and Pilots. So that's our news for Saturday, for tomorrow's event. You will see me in that vicinity. We're on West 48th between 5th and 6th, and that's where our float will be parked. And like I said, we do not march off early this year. We start to march somewhere between 1:30 and 2 o'clock. We are literally the last group of unions to march in the parade. So we would close the parade. And then we go from West 48th down to 64th Street, down 5th Avenue by the park. So that's our news. That's our news update. And now, Jim.
Yeah, I mostly wanted to join, so thank you for having me, but I mostly wanted to join to say thank you. I'm sure that I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see. I'm sure that the news was disappointing. Trust me, it was a very, very difficult decision to make. I ultimately made the decision based on largely on data and principle. And I was mindful of the fact that I was going to disappoint a lot of people. I was mindful of the fact that so many of you were generous with your contributions. And I feel terrible about that, to tell you the truth. But the bottom line is that the worst thing for the city, and I think the worst thing for you, is if Zoran Mamdani wins. That was much more important to me than my own political ambitions or my own belief in my own campaign. And I'm not endorsing anyone at this point. I'm going to continue to take the same principled approach that I took since July, which is to say to the other candidates, do a poll, go into a room and slug it out, draw straws. I really don't care, but align behind one person. And I begged the other candidates repeatedly to stop attacking each other, because every single time they attack each other, all they do is strengthen Mamdani. So, that food fight voters have hated. I got the signal of that, but I continued to attack Mamdani because I didn't care at that point what his base thought of me. What I really cared about were the fringe people that actually are people of good conscience and mature judgment that might be persuaded to back away from him if they saw some of his rhetoric from his past life. But in any event, I just wanted to be here. I wanted to say thank you. And I wanted to see if anybody had questions or if there was any inside baseball that people wanted to hear about. So
you have a lot of support.
Thank you
if you're
again.
looking at the statements, a man of morals, integrity, and fabulous ideas.
Oh.
We're so disappointed, but we totally understand.
Thanks, Ellen.
Kathy says, your integrity is amazing. So happy to have happily supported you.
Oh, thank you, Kathy.
Gerald
Wait,
says,
can I just stop for 1 second? Yeah. So my integrity is not amazing. Let me tell you something. My integrity is the exact same as yours. I mean, this is what normal people that have a moral compass do. The problem with politics is that we've become so, we expect bad behavior. We expect people to, cut backroom deals and not live up to what they said. It's sad to me. And I'm trying to figure out a way to solve for this, because at the end of the day, we need better candidate selection, and we need a system that is going to draw people like you into politics to serve, because the people that we keep electing are terrible. I mean, there's been some exceptions, but not that many, frankly.
No.
So I appreciate your comments about my morals and integrity. I reflect it right back to you.
Okay, so let's see. Camille says, thank you for always caring about New York City retirees.
Did you see my sign? I made a sign for you before we started.
Rock.
Can you see it?
I can see it.
No, then.
Oh, can they see it? Can you see Jim's sign on the whiteboard behind us?
Somebody screenshot that and post it somewhere.
The city just wasn't ready for you yet, Jim, yet.
Thank you, Michael.
Isn't that great? Laura, Jim, I'll always love how you gave us a voice during this campaign. Thank you. And it was brave on many levels.
Well, I always appreciate that you gave me a voice, Laura. So thank you.
Absolutely. And then there was one I put up here. Let's see, Gerald. Jim, do you believe Adams and Sliwa will drop out?
So I have it on pretty good authority that Adams is going to drop out by the president's deadline. For those of you that didn't see it, President Trump, I've got my own opinions about this, but he set essentially a deadline that in the next, I can't remember if it's a week or 10 days, but that he wanted 2 of the candidates to drop out.
Yeah, it was on the news yesterday.
Yeah, and it was in the.
Do you think that'll happen?
I don't think that Sliwa is necessarily going to go along, but I think Adams kind of has to, because listen,
he's polling like at 8%.
He's polling at 8%, and Trump has the Trump card, as is often true, which is they dismissed the charges against him, and the judge dismissed them with prejudice, which means they can't bring them back. But Adams was involved in so much corruption. There are other charges that they could bring against him that they didn't bring the first time, that they now have more evidence of. So, it's mostly penny ante stuff. I have heard that there is a mature investigation of his administration for taking kickbacks on the homeless shelters. I don't know how real that is, but I think that the Trump administration still has plenty of leverage over Adams, and Adams does need a job since he's not going to win re-election. And so my guess is that within the next 10 days, they will sort it out. He will get some sort of position. I would like to suggest ambassador to Turkey, which I think would be very fitting. I think that Erdogan would be very happy to have an Eric Adams, at least for a little while. But on Sliwa, listen, it's anybody's guess. Curtis has to kind of look at himself in the mirror if he's capable of doing that and really decide what is best for New York. He will be the spoiler. And when I said this, I don't know if people dialed into this, but I meant it. I've done the math really carefully. It took me a lot of time. Took me a lot of my own personal time. And Zoran Mamdani will win as long as there's two candidates running against him, period. It doesn't really matter how much of a split
because of the
it
large
is.
split.
Yeah, and because we're assuming that there's going to be more voters than there's ever been, right? The most that we've ever had is 1.3. We need kind of a minimum of 1.4 million people to show up, and we need, whoever the front runner is to get 51% of that. So do the math. Zoran Mamdani is probably going to get at least 650,000 votes, right? We know that from the Democratic primary and the polling. So, it's going to be close even in a one-on-one, I'm not saying close. It'll be closer in a one-on-one. It'll be devastating if there's two people in the race.
So Michael says Bill Ackman just dropped Adams and backed Cuomo.
I met Bill Ackman once in my life. I didn't have enough dialogue with him to be impressed or not impressed. It was a bit of a head scratcher. He's gone back and forth more than a ping pong tournament. Honestly, if the guy wanted to do the right thing, he could have endorsed me, and that would have made a significant difference. But he's going to continue, I guess, trying to support Cuomo. I'm not going to take a position on that, in the sense that, frankly, everyone, I don't care at this point, right? They all are imperfect candidates. Honestly, if you're going to look at anyone, just, to understand what the choices are, there's this relatively new guy, Joe Hernandez, who's in the race, who, he's not even polling yet. So Again, it's a bridge too far, probably. But also, lightning has stricken. I'd say lightning can strike at any time. Lightning has stricken like 1,000 times during this campaign.
Do you know my house got struck by lightning twice?
It sounds like the New York City election, but
Yes.
minus 10. So all I can say is they're all imperfect. Some much, much more imperfect than others. I've been super clear about my criticisms, particularly of Cuomo and Adams. But at the end of the day, gun held to my head, I would vote for either of them over Zoran Mamdani for all the reasons that I know you guys share. So
let's see. Gerald says, I think Adams will probably drop out, but Sliwa says he's in to stay because if he dropped out, he would have to pay $3 million back in matching funds.
Can I just address that, Gerald? That's not true, in the sense that that's what the media wants people to believe. Because they want, and there are a couple of journalists that I went toe to toe with over this, because they were trying to stoke confusion and they were trying to stoke fear in candidates that if they dropped out, there would be some financial chaos. It's not true. The rule for a candidate that drops out is the same as the rule for the candidate who wins, which is if you have unspent matching money, you've got to return it, right? So I have roughly 1.1-ish million dollars in my account. It'll be less after I pay expenses from this month, but it'll be something around $1 million. I have to give that back. And then for the $1.3 million that I spent in matching funds, I have to have $1.3 million of qualified expenses. And if I had $1.3 million of qualified expenses, which is the rule for everyone, then I don't have to give back a penny. And we were very frugal in terms of what we spent and what we spent it on. And so we have a huge margin of error in terms of even if there were things, even if, for example, they don't cover some of the charitable contributions I made, because I made, I think, about $75,000 of charitable contributions rather than doing ads. Probably not the smartest political move, but it made me feel good that I was handling things a different way. They may not call that a qualified expense. It's weird, though, because if I had taken that $75,000 and given it to 5 Democratic candidates, which I'm allowed to do, they would have considered that a qualified expense. In any event, so it's not financial calamity. And I have tried to speak to Sliwa's people to make sure that they understand the rule so that at least he has all the information. I couldn't get them to call me back. So at least I'm now putting it out over social and regular media to try to educate people so that they realize that this whole narrative about the CFB is going to come after you for the money is not true.
Oh, that's good to know. Well, Gerald, that was a really great question, and that's a great answer, Jim.
Thanks, Gerald.
Absolutely. Whoops. Let's see if I missed any going up.
Marianne Berto's here. Hi, Marianne. Oh, Luciana's here.
There she is.
Ruth, hello.
Yep, you have a good group of people.
Wow, look at all you people showing up.
There was there's this right now is live streaming into 5 different portals. So it's going into Facebook, LinkedIn,
Hello, America.
YouTube, X, and Instagram. Let's jump over to Instagram and see if anyone's there with questions. So you got a few people, and yep, just a few here.
Oh, I can't tell from the names.
Yep, I don't know either. Well,
Yeah.
here's Marie. I know Marie. Here's the transit retirees is Big Arch. How are you doing, guys? Good morning. Nice to see you, Kathy.
Hi, Kathy.
So that's our Instagram. Doesn't when I'm on this portal, it doesn't bring in. I have to flip back and forth to go and see them. So here's Zesley. Whoops. Marianne, did you get the whole house surge protector for lightning strikes? Gee, thanks, Gerald. Actually, both times my house got struck by lightning, I lost a lot of electronics. So the first time I lost my alarm system.
You
My
didn't have
phone-
a surge protector?
I do have a surge protector, but it's not coming through the power line.
You need
It's coming through the cable line. So this is the craziest thing. It
the
literally,
the electricity surge is
the
coming.
surge comes through the cable line, and it's done it twice. And cable acknowledges it and has paid me for all of the damage. So the first time it knocked out my air conditioning unit. So that was like $4,000 because it's those big things that are outside because I have central air, and my alarm system, a TV, and my phone. This time it took out my air conditioning unit. It took out my phones. It took out one TV and every GFI and smart switch in my house.
That's great. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is there nothing like a surge protector for cable?
Not that I can find. I mean, if there is and there's an electrician out there, please give me a jingle.
Oh God, what a pain.
Because it's literally, I had to file a claim with the cable company, and twice, 2017 and just last year, they had to replace all of that damage to my home.
Did you ever think of putting up like one of those
Like a big metal rod in the backyard?
Well, yeah, like no, they have these commercial grade ones that if there's going to be a lightning strike, it brings the lightning to there. I can't remember what they're called.
I don't
But
know.
there's
I'll have to
there's
Google
actually
that.
a thing. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I'll figure out the name of it.
It's
There's a name. For
literally
it.
twice. It came
Yeah.
through the cable.
Don't let
And-
it happen 3 times.
What will
Three
it do?
three
the
times will
third
not be a charm. That much I can tell you.
Let's see. Irene says Sliwa to a jam-packed auditorium at North Shore Towers on Tuesday pledged to uphold our present healthcare. He was as emphatic about it, and there were many, many retired in that audience. And he's actually the only other candidate other than Cuomo right now that has done that and supported in the pledge that Jim had started the trend for us for. The only 2 that have not signed that pledge is Mamdani and Eric Adams. So
who asked that question?
Irene Alter.
Hey, Irene, I don't know if you can put it in the comments, but one of the things I wrestled with, first of all, I don't think there was one time during the campaign that I criticized Sliwa. Although I mentioned him and said nice things about him, I didn't do the thing that a lot of candidates do, which is to ignore a lot of people just ignored me. But whatever. So I didn't do that with respect to him. But the one thing that I've heard again and again and again, including from a lot of Republicans, is that they just don't think that he is capable of either understanding or dealing with some of the really serious fiscal issues that the city is facing. And also that, he just doesn't work hard. And so he's going to be a mayor that doesn't really show up and kind of deliver what the city needs right now, which is a lot of leadership. I would be thrilled to hear what people's perspective, because that seems to me that's really an insider, like the politically astute as opposed to, or the politically involved, not necessarily astute, but the politically involved, as opposed to kind of what the experience is out in the world. I'd be thrilled to hear if people want to, email me directly or in the chats, give me their perspective on whether they think that that's a fair or unfair assessment of Sliwa.
Okay, Camille says, I just worry that Sliwa will be bullied by the big bully and is not for police transparency, which he said at our mayoral forum.
That's weird that he said he wasn't for police transparency.
I don't remember that, Camille. I'd have to go back and look at that segment of the video.
Well, so Camille, if Slee was your guy, and again, I encourage everyone, support their person until October 1st, and then please, everyone, just support the front runner, whoever it is. But Sliwa's right on a lot of the stuff with respect to the police and public safety. Just to be clear, he and I agree on like 95%. I don't think that he has imagined some of the solutions that I have, but I'd be thrilled to work with him if there was I don't mean in an official capacity, but in helping for example, his transition team develop policy and hire good people. But I don't believe that he's going to be cowed by Trump. I don't. If that's who you mean by the big bully, I think that he is going to, kind of walk a line because when he believes something personally, he's someone that I feel I can trust to stick to it. And he's been pretty clear that he's not a Trump supporter, although he has, said that he wants to work with Trump. And honestly, I think that that's what any mayor should be saying. I don't think that this should be about, war against Donald Trump or who's Donald Trump's favorite or least favorite candidate. It's so childish. We should have a mayor that cares about New York City more than anything else and is willing to work with Washington in as many ways as possible, consistent with New York values, and fight where is necessary. Fight, obviously, respectfully and in courts as needed, but that's what I think the city needs. Sounds good.
Kathy says, Mamdani will never sign because the union leaders endorsed him and they can't stand us.
I'm going to talk to Jake. I want to find like a contingent of DC 37 people who will start again anybody but a Henry Garrido campaign. That's what I want to do. Like I would love to. I don't mean take this guy out in a bad way, but I would love to take him out because to me there's a legal fix here that I'm trying to figure out, and I'm going to ask Marianne's help, which is I feel like there should be a law that a union cannot essentially discriminate against retirees by throwing them out and not continuing to support them after a lifetime career, a professional career of paying dues. I feel as though that is fraudulent in a way. So
I agree with you because I think it could technically be considered like a, well, it would go back to probably. Well, I don't know. I can't even say that case. It's not even that case. That case was more about unions. It would have to be the promise. It was that the union promised us that they would take care of us or.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So what I'd love to see, and we can talk about this separately, is try to find every little breadcrumb of DC's 37. And I'm not talking about on this specific issue, but generally taking the position of, and of course we look out for our retirees, right? Or putting in policy positions or contractual provisions that are intended to benefit retirees, because it really does seem to me fraudulent if they are not saying to people that they're asking for dues now to say, oh, by the way, once you're a retiree, we not only will we not support you, but if your interests as a retiree are inconsistent with our members' interests, we are going to only consider our members.
I'll tell you that doesn't exist right now.
What do you mean?
It doesn't. There's nothing there that says that. Well, so the reason under Pittsburgh plate glass from 1971-ish, the
legal scholar over here.
The unions, the court determined that retirees could not be in the union because their needs were materially different. So you had you could not have unions could only negotiate for wages, hours, and work conditions for those in their bargaining unit. Once you're retired, you're not in their unit, you're no longer represented by the union. Now, you can be part of like a loyalty retiree association like DC 37 has or UFT has, and some of these other unions do. And if you pay a dues, it's really a loyalty dues, but you're not in the bargaining unit. And because your needs are materially different from the active worker, the union has an obligation to represent the active worker. They should also have that moral obligation to protect what you earned and vested as an employee that they should maintain as a retiree. But this whole debacle literally started because management encouraged union leadership to sell off retiree healthcare to enrich themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You sell off those retired. And Mulgrew said it. Remember, there was that little video that we have where Mulgrew said, the city said, if you give us back that 20% plan, we'll give you that money for your welfare fund and give you a raise. And that's what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And they're literally in court in part over that still right now. The union, the city demanded arbitration from the unions over the stabilization fund that funds their healthcare having gone bankrupt. And they demanded them go to an arbitrator to reimburse the city. I'll share that case with you. And then
I feel like there's something there still.
I agree with you. It's just a matter of finding it, because I like where you're thinking. It's just a matter of getting it there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we could hash that out anytime. Camille says, I can't vote anyway, but I wouldn't vote for him if I could. She's meaning,
she's obviously referring to me.
No, Sliwa. It's
kidding.
Camille.
I know. I was kidding.
Marianne, DC 37 endorsed him, meaning Mamdani. Henry Garrido, do nothing but take away from the members. Hate the fact that they have the right to switch pre-Medicare retirees. So that's another issue right now that's come out, where the unions today and under the MLC, first of all, I want to make this clear. The Municipal Labor Committee has not seen this healthcare plan. The only ones that have were the technical people, which includes the United Federation of Teachers, which is like under this tripartite, which is literally Alan Klinger, the United Federation of Teachers, DC 37, and this new plan that's been unveiled will impact active workers and non-Medicare retirees. The Municipal Labor Committee has not seen this contract. They've not seen anything more than you saw me do in that 2.5-hour live that we did last Friday. So no one else has any more information than you do. We're still trying to get that information. And yesterday, me, Steve, and Jake had a very long conversation about what we can do, because you remember the judge gave us 2 prior TROs because the court said that we were not given adequate information to make a decision, and them rushing this plan through was arbitrary and capricious. So today I'm supposed to draft a letter to try to get that information. And then if not, we potentially have an ability to tell the city we will file for a TRO on this plan if we're not given the information. I've said to you for a week now, this may be a great plan, but I can't tell you that for a fact because we haven't been given the contract, the prior authorizations, the network of doctors and hospitals. There's more information that we need to have. So stay tuned for that, because we'll see what happens. Ellen, from what I've seen, he's a very hard worker and he knows the city like no one else. He's run the Guardian Angels, a worldwide organization. I also don't think he'll be bullied by Trump. That's Ellen. So
thank you, Ellen.
Let's see. Kathy, see, you are the best man to be mayor.
Kathy, you've been a stalwart. Thank you.
I know. Let's see. Marianne says Henry Garrido does that, but I'm sure they'll love all the kickbacks they'll get.
She also said not liking Henry Garrido.
Yeah. Wish we could have had a mayor of your caliber. Now I'm voting against someone rather than for someone.
That's a very fair point, Randy, but thank you very much.
I told him he's got to come back and run again. John says it's abuse and strong arming of former members whose former unions feel like they can take advantage of. It's a shame. I agree with you, John.
Me too.
Irene, there was a lot of fear in that room, and I think that if Cuomo were out, he would have a shot at it. People can also vote for him on the independent line. My sense was the vast majority of the people in that room would vote for him. So this was a meeting. This is the North Shore Tower meeting you're saying that Sliwa had. Okay. Anyone that the UFT supports should make you run the other way. The UFT came out and endorsed Zoran.
Yeah.
The MLC hasn't seen the contract but wants them to vote for it. And so their vote is supposed to happen the end of this month. And they're supposed to send one delegate to the meeting, or one representative from the unions to DC 37 headquarters to view the contract in person for just one day, I think September 8th or 9th or something. But this is a mandatory subject of bargaining, healthcare. So really the union president should be demanding that the contract be given to their board to review and screen their members, let them hold membership meetings so that their members can see whether or not this is something that they would support. That gives you that transparency that the unions have been fighting for with Julie Menon's Healthcare Accountability Office. If the unions are going to demand healthcare accountability and transparency and hospital pricing, then they should also stand with the fact that there should be transparency to you, the members, because this is a mandatory subject of bargaining, that you should have that same information. Who's in the network? What are the costs? What are the out-of-network costs to you? Is your doctor in the network? These are all things that you have to know. Remember the process. This goes to the MLC by the end of September. It then has to go to a hearing for the city has to hold a hearing on this because this was a negotiated acquisition through the mayor's office of contracts. Then, and you remember that like train wreck of a hearing where people were screaming and talking over each other. This will be something like that. And hopefully this one's more controlled. After that hearing, it then gets delivered to the comptroller, and the comptroller has 30 days minimum to look at this contract. And then he has to certify it or not. And remember, the comptroller can deny to certify it, but then the mayor can always say, I overrule you, like he did for Medicare Advantage. And that's the process. And if everything goes right, we're still looking at approximately the second week of November. Open enrollment opens the 1st, which is why I believe we might have a good chance at getting a TRO to slow this thing down if they don't give us all of the information that we need up front, because we will already be in the middle of open enrollment by the time that contract is given to you. And I disagree with that. Laura says, love it, Jim. Please find a way to make it illegal for retirees from getting discarded by unions. At this point, our salvation is Bill 1096, which these immoral union bosses are dead set on killing.
Although Chris Marte is running for city council speaker, I saw.
He is. Yes, on transparency. And you can go to, I think it was Marte for Speaker, I think was his website. He actually laid out 26 points in what he was going to do as his platform to run for speaker. And some of those things that he wants to fix are the things he and we are running up against, where the speaker would be blocking bills from having a hearing. There's no transparency. There's been the threats coming out of the speaker's office to threaten council members. If they supported us, they would stop their committee assignments and discretionary funding. So that is helpful.
Adrienne Adams.
I'm a dummy in some areas. This is one. Why, if we retired under a ratified contract and we got the healthcare promised, how can they take it away when they negotiate for us? So that's a good question, Kathy, in that healthcare technically isn't in the contract. It's promised to you under statute 12-126. There really isn't much in the contracts on this because everyone thought the statute took care of it. The city will pay the full cost of health coverage up to the HIP HMO rate for every employee retiring their dependent. The other issue I do have is the legality of whether the Municipal Labor Committee has the ability to negotiate health care. That's something else we're looking at because that could be another issue. And we've been talking about that. And you've been asking me, how can a union we're not in be negotiating healthcare benefits for us when we're not in their unions? And that's a very good question. You asked me that last Friday. I literally had that conversation with Jake and Steve yesterday. So more on that.
Are they looking whether or not there's a fiduciary duty that the union has to members that extends into their retirement?
We didn't talk about that, but
Yeah.
we're going to have a 4-way call now.
I've got ideas sometimes.
You do. And I know you got to
Sometimes
go
they're
in
crazy.
a few minutes.
I do have to go.
Let's see. United Healthcare is the insurance, was told during a union meeting. United Healthcare is so United and Emblem are creating the national plan. The switch is supposed to happen January. The switch is supposed. Oh yeah, no, yes. I'm sorry.
Yes, no. I felt very. It's like, what is it? What is it? Yes or no?
January 1st. Yes, we're in 2026. That's what she means. I thought she was saying January 26th. January 1, 2026. Yes, Marianne, you are correct. North Shore Towers is close to Nassau County where I live, and it is turning red. That's why she's saying that. Okay. Yes, I played Jimmy Mack on my Facebook note today. Jimmy Mack, when are you coming back?
Yeah, just showing my age. Do you remember that song?
No.
Jimmy, oh, Jimmy Mack, when are you coming back? Was it like the Shirelles? I can't remember who sang that, but I remember that song, Kathy.
That's very good. Camille says, love that, Kathy. Carol, how do you review the contract in one day? And we said the same thing. You can't, because if you remember the retiree group, our group, looked at the Aetna contract, which was over 10,800 pages, and it took us weeks to go through it.
They do that on purpose, I swear to God.
It's and that's what they did the last time. It's exactly what they did the last time. Sure, the MLC will not support Marte because he can't be controlled. Who do you think the MLC will back for speaker? Julie Menon, probably, because she did the Healthcare Accountability Office. For what it's worth, I read Marte's 26-item list. Excellent target of accomplishment. I agree with you, Diane. I thought it was wonderful. And I'm going to meet with him this afternoon after my meetings this morning. So I'm going to.
Is he in his first term or his second term?
Second. He's running for his second.
Okay. Does he have a serious challenger?
There is a challenger to his office. He's the Democratic primary the Democratic primary winner. And there's, I think, a Republican running or conservative running against him, but I think he should win that district without a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go back and look at that. Mulgrew claims he can't share the contract with a proposed active and pre-Medicare plan because of proprietary reasons that shouldn't fall in the hands of competitors, like independent lawyers can review it. Yes, but that's true and not true. There are some proprietary things. Those can be the minor redactments, and as long as we know that those are the redactions under those specific headers. But remember, this is taxpayer dollars that is paying for this, and some of that should be open to public scrutiny.
It sounds like the dog ate my homework to me, but whatever.
No, but we are fighting for that. We're not letting that go. We have to be able to see the contract. We got the contract the last time, and OLR literally put the contract on their website after that meeting. So that's going to have to happen. We're just going to try to get that timeline done. After being a union member for 55 years, I'm sick to witness the corruption in my leaders. Too bad the best candidate bowed out. I'm disgusted. Isabel, hang in there. I can't wait to see as we get closer to election day how things will change. I really think one of these men will drop out. What are your thoughts on this? We've seen in the past candidates swear that they're in it to win it, and then they drop out.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm guilty of that as well. And I meant it at the time, and then circumstances changed. So listen, I don't have a crystal ball, obviously. I think that Adams is going to drop out for sure. I don't think that Hernandez, I'd be surprised if Hernandez stayed in. He seems like a person of good conscience. And if he doesn't immediately start polling in the high single digits, I think that he'll he's a guy that understands data. So I think that he'll drop. And then Sliwa's anyone's guess. If John Catsimatidis, who seems very invested in this and does listen to the president, puts pressure on him to get out of the race, or whoever is the front runner at the time offers him a position that he thinks is appropriate for him. I hope that he's a good enough guy that he, puts the bluster aside and puts New Yorkers first. That's what his whole brand is about, is putting New York first. So it's a little bit hard to justify how he says, I'm going to get out of the race in a pine box. I mean, seriously, if he was polling at 1%, And, whatever, like, would he stay in the race? So I don't really know. I suspect that one of the things that's going to happen over the next month is his poll numbers are going to go down. So I think that, there's only, he has a ceiling of a base. He's not going to get centrist Democrats. I mean, maybe a couple, but he's not going to get them in any sort of significant number.
Numbers.
And if, Cuomo, I can't imagine it'd be Adams, but if Cuomo starts going up in the polls, that's going to come at Sliwa's expense. So we'll see.
Camille says it was Martha and the Vandellas.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Jen says I'm 50 and I love that song. Mike says the same thing. See, so you're all the same generation.
Yeah, but did you guys know that, or did you look it up on Google? Come on, be honest now.
That's great. Oh my goodness. Well, I know you've got to leave in about 4 minutes, so I'm going to let you say anything else you want to say before you go, and then I'll finish chatting with them.
Yeah. So for those people that are disappointed, again, I'm sorry, but understand this. I'm not going anywhere, right? I'm going to continue to advocate, litigate, do as much as I can for good government and for reform. We need reform in so many different areas because the way decisions get made in this city is medieval from my perspective. I mean, in some ways, we're no better than the developing world, and in some ways, we're worse. So whether it's the election system, our courts, the way we treat retirees, the way we treat kids, the way we treat kids in poverty, especially, these things keep me up at night. I care about them authentically, not because I want to win some other election, but whether I ever ran for office again, I can't say, but I'm going to continue to do the same thing I've done my whole professional career, which is stand up for people who, are being essentially tossed aside or victimized or hurt by elected officials who are acting for, ulterior motives or because of corruption, et cetera. So I'm going to be here. I hope that we maintain a strong relationship and that we can find lots of ways to work together. And again, thank you all for giving me a voice and for allowing me to represent your interests. And I'm super, super grateful for all of your support.
Stay frisky.
I'm not sure how to take that. Bye, everyone.
They love you. Enjoy your day. I will follow up with you later.
Thank you.
All right. Bye,
Stay
my
here
dear.
as long as you like.
I will. I got to work today. I got meetings all day. Usually I end up taking a cubicle outside of Jake's office.
But now you have the war room.
Now I'm in the war room. Yes. Yes. I love your wall art and all your awards. And he has the biggest computer screen I've ever seen. It's like a big TV and this cool desk that moves. I love that desk. Okay. So we today are going to write a letter to the city regarding the health plan and the contract. We have about 24 questions that we've been trying to get answered that they're not answering, and we want to make sure that we do get the answers to those. You're entitled to those answers. So we want to make sure that, we do. Goodbye. and make sure that we get the answers to those questions. You're entitled to that. You're entitled to know who's in the network, what the prior authorizations are. You're entitled to know everything about your costs, the care that we tried to get you in the Medicare Advantage plan. We got a hold of the contract. We knew the network. You were given a link. And if you remember, that is how we found out that your doctors and hospitals were not in that network, right? The list of prior authorizations. Now they could say, like in that contract and in their slide presentation, we reduced 50% of them. Well, how many were there before? Like 10 million? We don't know what they had before. We need to know what those prior auths are. And if they reduced them and they applied them into different places, we need to know that as well. Now they always say that there's no tiering, but there is tiering. They added health and hospitals and ACP to ACPNY as the preferred network. That's one tier. That's mostly a $0 copay. The second is the in-network, non-preferred. You have copays on that. That's tier 2. And then you have what they call non-par or non-participating or out-of-network. That's tier 3. So it's disingenuous for them to be saying there's no tiers. You absolutely have tiers. So we're highlighting that as well. And we need to know, can those prior authorizations change? Just like when we were in the Medicare Advantage plan, they said that those prior authorizations can be renegotiated and changed every 2 years by the Municipal Labor Committee in the City of New York with the insurance company. What is that on this? You should know that, because as a retired person, you are still having a union that you are not in make those changes for you, and you're not in that union. Yes, even you pesky UFT retirees, you would still insist with me in emails that I am wrong. You are in the union. You are not. You are in a loyalty retiree association. You are not in their collective bargaining agreement. You're not in their collective bargaining unit. And you can tell that you're not, because every time there's a contract for that union, you don't vote on that contract. You have some privileges, partial privileges, not even as a whole person, to vote in the union election. That doesn't make you a union member. So they give you that vested interest. They're trying to keep you connected and attached to the union with your dues and your copes, but you have to ask for this transparency. You have a benefit that your union does provide you that access to your leadership, but you also have to hold that leadership accountable. And in making them accountable is getting the access to this plan information. So of those 24 questions, not only are there plan questions, but there's finance questions. We want to know, how is this plan being financed? We already said that the plan was being run on where it's self-funded by the city, and where the city had been partially funded like that before, but this time they're saying it does not go through the Department of Financial Services, DFS, and that means it is no longer under the oversight of the City of New York. So that means it puts it in the hands of the city and the MLC. You want to know a little bit more of those details, right? That's the important part. So there's also ability of them changing copays, increasing copays. What happens if the insurance company doesn't meet the thresholds in which they've committed to? Mulgrew talked about the savings. Someone had asked a question the other day where he said the savings wasn't coming from passing costs on to you. The savings was coming from them locking in the rate with a 0% trend, basically, for 5 years. What does that mean? That means that they are guaranteeing that the cost of the plan will not increase for 5 years. Well, if the cost of the plan has been increasing, I think between 5 and 7% or 7 and 9% a year, or almost 10% a year, how could you now all of a sudden declare that that's not going to happen? The only other place that they control healthcare costs, if it's not coming in a form of a copay or a deductible, is prior authorization. And that's why you need the transparency on what those prior auths are, on what components of the plan. Because if they're going to delay or deny you access to care through a prior auth, that will incur the city a savings, and you will be denied access to healthcare. We need to see what that is. Also, I thought it was interesting that that Mulgrew finally admitted that it wasn't 1.6 new doctors in the system, because there aren't 1.6 million doctors in the United States of America, that he now identified them as providers, which could be therapists or PT or nurse practitioners or PAs, whatever. That makes more sense and more in line what we were saying was happening, rather than what they were claiming, or at least some of what the UFT Unity folks were claiming online. It's not doctors. So I'm glad those questions are definitely coming out, because I think that's important to note. So let's see, we're moving up on our 1 hour, and I know I've got another meeting. So if you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat ASAP, and I will get through them. I appreciate you guys waking up early. I will not be able to do the evening live, which is why I did the live this morning and came literally to Jim's office to do it. So I wanted you to be able to talk to him before his day got crazy. And next week is 9/11, so I'll be busy with that, and I will not be here doing this. So Jen Jones always felt the retirees keep their wheel oil. Well, we are the squeaky wheel, right? We are the ones that keep asking. And this is what I said is too often people don't know what they don't know. This morning, if you're noticing on my social media, Bennett Fisher from the Retired Teacher Chapter leader, his wife and I have been going back and forth because Bennett refuses to get on social media, which I think is a detriment to the Retired Teacher Chapter, especially since Michael Mulgrew does not allow him to send his own emails out to his own members, which I think is another detriment and an abuse of control of the union over the retiree chapter, which definitely tells you that the union is still controlling the retirees. This is why you need your own voice. And I'm wondering why that's not being utilized more. Last night, Michelle Keller and I went to City and State event for their top 100 in labor. And if you recall, a couple weeks ago, I posted that they had put me at number 15. So this was an interesting evening. It was 100 labor people, whether they were majority of union presidents or union leadership or union attorneys. Some of the people that work in government liaisons and lobbying, et cetera, were also there, including the MLC lawyer. I think he was like number 98 or 89. The insurance companies were there. So there was a group of people that were there. Well, at the end of the evening, Michelle and I were leaving after networking with a group of people. And there was a very well-known law firm that was there that represents a lot of unions, both lobbying and legal-wise, advisory capacity. And this gentleman stopped me to thank me for the work that I did and told me that he felt that what was done to us was wrong and that he advised the union leaders in which he represents that we were on the right side of this, which is why I think a majority of them had mostly stayed quiet because they maybe realized that they were erred as this was their advisor telling them that. But I was given probably one of the best compliments I had received in a long time outside of my own people. And to hear that that's what they had said. And he said, you need to keep exposing what you're doing because you do it very well. And one of the things that the unions have done is that they've failed to embrace what you've created in that you are the true group of unionists, and you and your retirees, when you do a call to action, they come. When you do a rally, they go. When you go to Albany, they go. When you went to DC, they go. When you do a live like today, you come, you listen. When we ask you to do something, you do it. This shows the support, the trust, the faith that the people have in the leadership of this organization that some of these unions don't have. And the ones that do come out are the patronage ones that are paid to do so. And here we are older, in some cases have some issues that we're fighting health-wise. We're not paid. You guys aren't paid. I'm not paid. My team's not paid. And yet we still do this day after day, month after month, year after year for the last 4.5 years. He said, if I were a union, I would embrace you and pull you into that circle. And then he offered me a job, which I will not be taking. But it was a compliment. He said, I would hire you. But I was very touched by that. And Michelle was standing next to me, and it was just a really great evening. But it shows you the power that this organization has built because of all of you, each and every one of you, that you listen. We've told you all from the beginning, fact check the hell out of us because I don't always want to I don't always want to be taken at my word. You should prove to us. You should make me prove to you that I'm telling you the truth. We've told this to the unions. So in this conversation with Bennett's wife, and I guess Bennett with this last post, Bennett needs to have a social media presence, and he needs to be able to strengthen his voice because he's not given a voice in his own circle, which is a problem. And I think if he had that, then maybe that would carry on. But if he's going to just keep pandering to the almighty Mulgrew, then he's not going to rally the retirees to get them when he calls. We do that. And he should be asking more of these questions. I literally typed to his wife this morning, I'm glad that you're going to get potentially an opportunity to look at the contract, but my concern is you may not realize it might not be the whole contract or the whole appendix, because you need all the appendix, because remember what the UFT did. The UFT is not a beacon of faith or trust at this point, especially with this population of retirees, right? Because they've lied to you a million times before. You can't take them at their word. Their word doesn't mean anything anymore. So in taking all of this time in lying to you, you cannot trust what they say. He says that every doctor that's in the network is in the network in this new plan. Well, that's what they told us with Medicare Advantage. Every doctor that takes Medicare will take this new Medicare Advantage plan. That was a lie too. Don't worry, there's no prior authorizations, Garrido said. That was a lie. And then they only listed 10 prior authorizations in their flyer when there was like many. And then we had to get the court to provide that information. Yes, that was a red flag from the get-go. It absolutely was. So this is why I said this morning, they don't know what they don't know. And if they don't know what they're looking for in the contract, or they don't know what it means, who are they going to ask? Mulgrew? Mulgrew's lawyer? The UFT lawyer? This isn't right. They should be able to have people that look at this and say, this is great. This is great. This is a problem. This is a concern. I don't know what this means. And if they don't know what to ask, I mean, look, the retired teacher chapter had 4 people that went to their healthcare task force. And then either they don't feel that they voted, or they did vote, but they don't believe that they voted. I'm sorry. There should have been a roll call vote of each and every member so that their vote was cast on the record. And that didn't happen. And from what I'm told by several people, both unity and non-unity, is that a vote technically wasn't taken, but basically they were asked if any of them had a problem with this contract. And they weren't given a contract. And they didn't necessarily have a problem with it, but Mulgrew took that non-answer as an answer. And then immediately called the mayor and said that this is a done deal. We're good. We're glad. It's over. We support it. And they're sending it to the delegate assembly body. What are the rules for the delegate assembly body? And then a large population of retirees are messaging us that the resolution that the RTC had supported, I guess last year or early this year, was a watered down version that gives the DA the ability to basically rubber stamp this. That just says that they don't have to, that they had to debate the plan if there was a material change. I forget exactly the words of it, but they don't really describe exactly what that definition of those words would be. What would be a significant change to the plan? Sometimes the change doesn't have to be significant change, but it does have a greater impact. And if they're not familiar with contract review, that's another problem. As I also said, the contract isn't just about benefits. It's about the cost, the penalties, the funding, the ability of them to change the plan in the middle of the 5-year contract. Where does all of that go? So this could be still a great plan, but we still need that evidence so that we can come out and say to you, hey, guys, this was really great. Thanks for putting the time into this. We support this, or we don't. But we need that information in order to be able to say that. And the court agreed with us twice before on that exact, or 3 times before, on that exact same issue. So give me a little bit of time. We've got a lot of events this weekend, and then I will try to draft up this letter, get it approved by the lawyers, and get it out to the city, and I will let you know the status of that. Because if not, we do have a potential path to make them give that to us. Thank you, Marianne and team. You're the best. Everyone enjoys the weekend. You too, Cheryl. I appreciate that. Yes, yours is a true leadership that these union leaders don't want to embrace. Instead of dodging, they should be supporting and working with you to get things right. And that's what this guy said to us last night. He said that we had an ability to communicate with people that resonated and rallied the voices, the people that this impacted. And the unions don't have that. And rather than embracing us and recognizing they should not be attacking their former union members, they should have embraced us and brought us into their circle to make them stronger. And they didn't, and they haven't. There's a few unions that have, but they've been largely quiet. And he felt that that was also a mistake, that they should largely have embraced us as part of the family. And they haven't done that either. And I believe, and I said this to him, I believe that the reason that they haven't is because maybe in some way that they recognize that they've made a mistake, and they're not willing to admit that. And I've said before, I don't need you to admit that there was a mistake made. I'm not going to say, see, but what they should be doing is saying, let's work together and making sure that no one gets screwed the next round. And this is the next round. So if they want help in understanding the contract, they really should be inviting us in the room, because we can help them with that. And I think we've been pretty successful already on our own, but it would be helpful. Does Brad Lander know how this dirty deal was done? I honestly don't know, because Brad hasn't been responding to me, and I've tried. But, that is what it is. I'm sure there were people trying to get to him as well. Because you're not trying to keep secrets and lies. No. And that's actually where our power comes from, because we are known for debunking bullshit. And I think that was also a compliment last night, is they know we're going to debunk their bullshit. They evolved into not wanting input from their membership. And KE, that is one of the most dangerous things. They would rather you be like mushrooms, in the dark and under shit. Because if not, you've always heard me say, knowledge is power. And if you know more, then you can make statements or ask questions or get other people to listen to your questions. And they don't want to be questioned. They just want to, with an iron fist, rule and say what they're going to do. And they don't want you to question them. That's wrong. Unions were born in dissent. And I posted a video a couple years ago of Victor Gottbaum in a documentary that literally shows that he had a room of people voting both for and against things. What the United Federation of Teachers has done by firing people that dissent with the House is anti-union. And yes, you'll say, oh, it's been done a lot. Well, that doesn't mean that just because it was done, it's right. Mulgrew shouldn't want to surround himself with yes men or people that lick his boots. He should want to surround himself with people that will always tell him not what he wants to hear, but sometimes what he needs to hear. And sometimes what he needs to hear isn't what he wants to hear. And he doesn't want to be questioned. Henry Garrido's the same way. And by paying the people around him in the circle, it keeps them loyal to the House. They're not going to dissent because they don't want to lose the patronage paycheck. That's another problem. So many unions are short-sighted and they don't want to cede power, especially to old people. I agree with you, because retirees were always portrayed as whiners and complainers. And that shouldn't be how that is. We ran their unions. We ran the city. We have a lot more knowledge and street cred than they do. And they don't want to admit that, which is another reason why they attack us and smear us, is to discredit us. So we acknowledge that, even when they know we're right. Yes. And I'll tell you, for all the press that was in that event last night, they all said the same thing to Michelle and I, and in front of some politicians as well. They know. So this was not lost on anyone. Yeah, it devolved. It did, Ellen. Kicking every rock over to reveal what's underneath. Yep. Thank you, Marianne, and your admin, moderators, and fellow warriors. Please enjoy this weekend. You too, Diane. Totally appreciate you all. Garrido and Mulgrew work seriously, but they only work for themselves. Yes, they do. Speaking truth to power. Absolutely. So it's just after 10, guys, and I've got to get ready for my next meeting. I want you guys to enjoy your weekend, because I know I am. I'm going to an event tonight with a group of retired police officers and up at Yankee Stadium, even though I'm a Mets fan. But I'll be sitting with our brothers and sisters, which I'm absolutely excited about. And then tomorrow is the Labor Day parade. So I will see you all. Remember, if you want to attend the Labor Mass, I do not think I will be up at the church, but if you want to go into the Labor Mass, Please show up at 8:30. That's when the mass starts. I think they start to congregate outside and they do the procession into the church at about 8:30. So if you do want to do that, just know it is a long day if you get there that early. Because we don't step off until about 1:30, 2 o'clock. And we are at West 48th between 5th and 6th. You'll see the big Staten Island float. We also this year have the Dorothy Day Guild and Dorothy Day's granddaughter marching with us. So I think you guys would really be happy to meet them. And they will be joining us as well. So if you want, just get there, maybe about, I don't know, 11, 12 o'clock, kind of catch up with everyone, chit chat. Make sure you bring a poncho or an umbrella or something, because there's a chance of rain in the afternoon by the time potentially that we do step off. But it's not supposed to be a lot of rain. It's just like a drizzle. Just dress appropriately. Make sure that you have snacks or food with you or water. We can always throw garbage away or put stuff in the back of the pickup truck that's towing our float, and then throw it out when we get to where, at the end of the parade down by 64th Street. And I'm sure if you just need bathrooms, you can find a place around that West 48th Street between 5th and 6th Avenue to do that as well. So I will see you guys tomorrow. I will be making sure that the float gets there probably at about 8:30. And then if you want to, for those of you that have, because I know I forgot mine, take your collapsible stools that we gave you when we did Occupy DC 37 and bring those with you, since they're light and can just go over your shoulder. Wear your retiree t-shirts, wear those blue sashes that we handed out. I don't have any of that to hand out this year. Anything you want to do to identify yourself as a retiree, support 1096 signs, you can bring whatever you want. I did not bring anything with me this time because of all the stuff I had to do for the rally for Eric Adams on Tuesday and 1096 there. So I don't have any of that with me. Bring whatever you want, classy stuff, stay classy. This is a public parade and we always stay classy anyway. But you guys have a great weekend. And I will see you tomorrow. Ciao, guys. Talk to you later.
Don't speak what you don't understand. The truth is not in your command. Don't shout about what you think is fake. The decision isn't yours to make. About the way things are, tall tales will take you very far. Don't scoff when they say it's the end. In this life, you know you can't pretend. The days pass by.